Hello, America, and to our friends around the world, greetings and welcome back. Today is another celebration of the month of March's Women's Month. Here we have, right off the bat, a familiar name from the past year or so. Radical Judge Tanya Chutkan allows states' attorneys general to unveil the names of Doge employees. She's at it again. If you don't remember who she is, just look up what it is she's done over the past year in every effort to thwart President Trump's candidacy, followed by now his ascendancy. Obama judge Beryl Howell sides with Perkins Coie. That's the company that was outed recently by Doge. The DNC law firm linked to Hillary Clinton and bogus Russia dossier. We all remember that, the 51 lying intel officers. She blocks part of President Trump's executive order. Now, if you're on Twitter or on YouTube, 10th Amendment Center hosts a lot of material that states that the president has no obligation under executive, because Article 2 is the executive branch, and the executive branch is separate of Article 3. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but 10th Amendment Center has been pointing this out. There's no obligation by the Trump presidency to follow these unlawful orders from the courts. And finally, FBI charges high-ranking CBP, that's the Customs Border Patrol official, in the FEMA fraud scheme scandal. You guys remember that? Don't go to their house if they've got a Trump sign. This comes from Gab. Actually, it comes from Gateway Pundit, but on Gab, the account bigly speaks. You'd almost think we are ruled by an Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12, matriarchal controcracy. Oh, my people, your leaders mislead you. They send you down the wrong road. I have often pointed out that the feminist ideology promotes women based off of identity, and by doing that, it gives women overall a horrible representation in terms of competency and ability. Well, I guess those are pretty much the same thing. But, when you've got Secret Service director, disgraced director, cheating Pepsi loss manager Cheadle, and then failing at her job, and you've got Nancy Mace protecting her golden parachute, and then you've got over a year ago those Ivy League presidents such as Claudine Gay. Oh, we don't see no problem with destruction of property, and there are so many other examples. So, these three being three of them. In addition to those two, this doesn't do anything to foster confidence in women being in any level of anything, whether it's government leadership, judicial positions, law enforcement, like the woman out of Florida that was the driver volunteered his weapon and she shot him. Gross negligence, involuntary attempted manslaughter. I hope to God he sues the crap out of her. There's that Megan Hall, who was cheating on her husband with her supervisor, her police department supervisor and co-workers, rather than actually doing her job. I mean, these are all setbacks, every single one of them. And then you've got Robert Barnes representing a man out of Seattle who is facing criminal prosecution for nothing more than sending a text message to his son. And the man isn't even allowed in the courtroom to face his prosecution, his accusers. It's and then the judge, a woman, making this ludicrous, outlandish statement: "Oh, the United States Constitution doesn't exist here." I mean, anybody who's gone through family court, divorce court, knows that already, and has probably even heard that statement. Now we've got this TV star's wife arrested in alleged plot to hire hitman to kill him. An arrest report obtained by the outlet there. Victoria Goodwin, 32. He's 48. She was arrested for soliciting somebody. Now, this is the amusing part. How stupid do you have to be to contact somebody already in prison to hire them to put out a hit on anybody? It's absurd. I knew this woman long ago who actually did something, not putting out a hit. She was married to this guy. He got busted, and he got sent all the way up north of Seattle for prison. And she would call him and write him letters, 200, 300 miles away, right? And during that time prior to his arrest, he had hooked up with another woman, and somehow her car, her keys, whatever, were in his possession, which then became the wife's possession. And then this wife had a complete lack of brains to correspond and communicate with her husband in prison to extort the woman to pay for her property back. Long story short, she got arrested, and she only had to serve a month or something like that. But they monitor the phone calls coming in and out of there. They monitor the letters coming in and out of there. There's even been court cases where attorneys, lawyers have filed charges or cases about their privacy, private communications being surveyed by prison. So right off the bat, this woman that married the ghost adventurers, Aaron Goodwin, is an idiot. And they've only been married less than 2 years or less than 3 years. So she sent messages to the Florida prison. She negotiated a down payment of $2,500 and had set aside more than $11,000 to have him murdered. This is right up there with that woman that was married to the Minnesota pastor. It's absurd. So she's scheduled to appear, I'm presuming, Tuesday of next week, which would be, I guess yesterday, the 11th, or the 18th of March, one or the other. You'd have to look it up on their court docket and find out. It's Clark County, Nevada, if you're so inclined. The bottom line, though, is I just want to emphasize that the Western society and even the predominant Western religious dogmas, they recommend and it's a gynocracy. If you're not familiar with what a gynocracy is government that's feminized, that is female empowered. And it's based off of feelings rather than merit. That is the whole motivation behind the DEI nonsense. It's all Marxist ideology at the root. It's just they're from Marxist ideology, communist ideology. There's offshoots, and what they do with these offshoots is it's the foot in the door. If you can get your foot in the door, they can't close the door, and they have to hear what's being said through the cracked door opening. And in time, the pressure to push the door shut relents, and it allows you to step your leg in, followed by your hips, and then your full body, and finally your final leg. But it's all about incrementalism, and it's all based off of communist ideology, Marxist ideology, And feminism is a very, very, very active part of that ideology. And the gynocracy that we live under, with the lesser sentences, the for women, and the ability for them to get away with this stuff with barely slaps on the wrist, is part of it. So there'll be more for March. Stay safe, document everything.